Okay, so today, guys, we are here with the two co-presidents of the North Texas Briar Club, Mr. Chris Dumoulin.
You got it.
It took me a while to learn that one, and Mr. Colin Rigsby. And we are here today at Ash and Ember Brewing Company in Cedar Hill, Texas. And guys, thanks for being here, and wanted to talk to you just a little bit about the North Texas Briar Club. How did it come about? How did we get co-presidents and membership and all of those things? If you could go ahead and talk about that.
That's a good question. You want me to go?
Start.
My part of the club started when I moved here to Texas. So I moved here from Nashville, and one of the things that I enjoyed in Nashville, Nashville had a great pipe club at the time, and I got to know a lot of people there. And then when I had to move here to Texas for work, I was like, it'll be fine. I don't know anybody in Texas, but it'll be fine. I'll just join the local pipe club, and it'll be fine. And then I showed up, and the club at the time, the only club at the time that was in the area, was meeting all the way out in Louisville.
At the time, yeah.
At the time, it was out in Louisville, and I was like, that's too far. So I just started my own. I just started a pipe club. So like I put it out on Facebook, started a group, started telling people, hey, if you're interested, I'm going to be meeting up at these random places. And we were a Gypsy Roadshow. We would meet at a bunch of different shops at the time. We had a group of guys that would show up, and we kind of started growing and getting bigger, and just became a thing. It was, and eventually we were like, well, what are we going to call this thing, you know? And we decided we were going to call ourselves the Lone Star Pipe Club. That was a vote that was put out. A little assumptive, I think, because Lone Star is the entire state, but I didn't pick it. So Lone Star Pipe Club started to be a thing. And then we had an event here in Cedar Hill. The folks over at Tobacco Cabana invited a bunch of us out, and that's where I met Colin. We actually met here in Cedar Hill, of all places, and learned that he was running a club that had just moved to Denton. Is that right? Or you guys were still in Louisville at the time?
Well, so...
Yeah,
Sorry to interrupt, but when did yours start? You remember what
2014.
year? 2014. Okay.
I started what was the North Texas Briar Club in about 2004-ish. That club grew out of the old Dallas Pipe Club that had met at various places in the Dallas area. Was a pretty good sized club, but over the years had started to kind of fizzle out, and you know how things are with organizations and clubs, and that club did finally stop meeting. I guess it was about 2002, maybe one, somewhere in there. And I had started to go to that club maybe a year and a half, 2 years before it finally folded. So about 2004 or so, I used to hang out quite a bit at Up and Smoke in Louisville on the weekends. And the store shop operators at that time, who had been part of that other club as well, approached me about starting a pipe club at their store. And given that a lot of the people that shopped at that store were part of that Dallas club, we sort of just allowed it to grow out of that club. So a lot of those same folks that we still had contact with, I kind of put it together through the store there, and we started meeting there once a month in Louisville. And that club got pretty good size pretty quickly. And like a lot of clubs, you know, it started off kind of big, and then it's gotten smaller as people's interests have waned, and you start to see the core group of people that are very dedicated to it, which we appreciate greatly, and then you have folks that can only make it, you know, certain times, and that's fine, that's great. So that club existed in Louisville for about 3 years, maybe 4, and we were going to have to move. The ownership of that store changed, some things changed. There, it wasn't club friendly anymore to meet there. So we ended up, we did the same thing. We were kind of migrated to a couple of different places there for a while. and ended up going out to what was Cigar Frogs out in Denton. It's now Denton Cigar. And we've been meeting there, gosh, 10 years maybe now or more.
So I guess you guys were already up
yeah.
there by the time we met.
So if I do my math correctly, and I may be getting some of these dates wrong, but anywho, we've been meeting there quite a while. And it's changed ownership as well, but in that change of ownership, they've actually become more welcoming to us. In that time period, the beginnings of the Texas Pipe Show started to happen. We had our first kind of meetup here in Cedar Hill. So I met Chris. Chris and I started talking, became friends. One thing leads to another, and we start deciding, hey, this 2-club thing in an area of the size of the DFW metro area, it's kind of silly to have 2 clubs. Let's combine these clubs, especially that we are going into the show now kind of more together. I was heavily involved with that, and we want to grow the show. We want to grow the clubs. Let's just make it all the same thing. It just makes sense. So we did that, I guess, 3 years ago, officially combined the clubs.
Yeah, it was
into the North Texas Briar Club. Just did things that made sense to do in doing so. And Chris and I both enjoy what we do with the clubs. It's not a lot of work so far. And so we get along well. It just makes sense to do that. So we both kind of do it. So far, I haven't killed him.
So far.
I don't think he's going to kill me. I mean, things are good.
So far.
So far. So no, it's all good, and it's been a really great ride watching this club kind of grow. So we meet twice a month now.
We do. So we combined. When we combined, we were already meeting at different times of the month. So we meet in Denton at the end of the month, and in Fort Worth at the beginning of the month, essentially.
Now, yours is on the Denton one's on a Tuesday.
It's the 4th Tuesday, and the Fort Worth part meets
Second Thursday.
Second Thursday. So they're about 2 weeks apart. So every 2.5 weeks or so, depending on how the calendar falls, there's a pipe club meeting. So it's convenient for those who want to go to all of them or to one. If you're more Fort Worth centric, you could go to that one. If you're more Dallas centric, Denton is not that far out of the way for those folks. And we've got members as far away as McKinney, and we've got some even closer up to Oklahoma that have.
Yeah, I know that there's one from Paradise, which is a good.
Gosh, that's forever out.
90 miles from here.
Yeah. So, and we've actually got some guys that come from this side over here now. We started just this year. We started doing a quarterly meeting here in Cedar Hill with the good folks over at Tobacco Cabana right behind us here. They host that one. And it's an opportunity for the pipe smokers that are in this area, which for those not familiar with the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, there's kind of a north and south dividing line. Let's not have any Civil War jokes here. But it's just kind of the way the area is built. This side is more of the south side of the area, and we probably have the least amount of members from that end of the metro area.
Yeah.
So this was in an effort to not only give their shops some exposure, some well-deserved exposure to those pipe smokers, and maybe pipe smokers from the more middle and north side of the DFW area, but to just see if there's anybody over here who's interested. And we do a quarterly meeting over here on a Saturday usually, and where we just hang out and talk about stuff. You were kind enough to come to our rescue this time and do a little presentation for us with the YouTube stuff. And I think those meetings are going to be a little more special in that we're going to try to have some kind of speaker or some kind of new tobacco to try, or do a pairing with beer and tobacco or whatever. Whereas our normal monthly meetings are we'll do a little bit of business, but we're just sitting around having fun too. Now, speaking on club rules and all of that nonsense, we'll get that out of the way. And that's just what it is. It's nonsense.
It is nonsense.
Because we're not big enough yet or do enough financially speaking to warrant having anything like dues or anything like that.
And I would have to be convinced, like really convinced to do that.
Those times may come when the Texas show, which we can talk about later, grows to the point where we're going to have some kind of income like that.
Right.
That's just business. But right now it's not that, and so we're planning on keeping it that way until the time comes where it has to happen.
Yeah, pushing that out as far as we can.
We do a
honestly.
club pipe every year.
We do a club pipe. That's the main expense, but it's literally you're paying for the pipe. You're not paying the club.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, we're just
So
we're
the club
basically-
doesn't make anything off of it.
No.
Basically, it's a service
No.
that.
No, we're just getting it together. We're getting it with a carver or a company, and we're getting the pipes made, and we're charging the members of the club, whoever orders one, just for the pipe.
Yeah, but it's just
Do you
cost.
guys have one lined up for this year?
We
Ye-
kind of
yes.
do. Yeah, we're just
well,
finalizing that.
Not to let anything out of the bag early, but that's something I think I would look forward to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we're planning on this year, if things keep going well here in Texas as they have been the last couple of months, you know, most of the limitations have been lifted here. So we are going to have a show probably in the fall. It's most likely going to be September, October. We don't want to interfere with anybody else who's going to have a show, hopefully, like Columbus and Vegas. So we're going to try to fall in between there somewhere. It will be another smaller affair like it has been in the past. We were hoping to grow it the next time, but you know, that was out of our control with
Right.
everything that's happened.
Yeah.
So we're going to do another smaller show, but we're going to try to get some estate vendors here this time. We're going to have our normal carvers lined up, Texas carvers, anybody that wants to come. And any monies that are generated through that show go right back into the show. So the club is not, we're not taking dues yet. We're not making any money for any other thing other than the shows and to pay for the pipes that we do.
Which means that there's not actually any official membership.
There's not.
I mean,
We
you
don't-
just basically show up and
Show up and have fun.
Yeah.
We do have some. We have a few ground rules, which is if there's tobacco on the table, you can try it. You know, we all bring stuff to try and to share, and that's just the rule. If it's on the table, it's polite to ask, but it's there for fair game.
Yeah.
Everything. We have a rule about if you want to talk politics, that's fine as long as you can share tobacco afterwards. If you want to talk about religion, that's fine as long as you can share tobacco afterwards. We don't get hot and heated.
No.
It's just not. It's not in pipe smokers' nature anyway. I don't feel like.
It's
But
unnecessary.
It's also just really unnecessary.
Yeah.
So you can talk about whatever, as long as you're kind, and that's really what a lot of it comes down to. Is we talk about pipe tobacco and life, and we just hang out and we smoke our pipes and just chill.
We've always had the attitude that, you know, it doesn't matter what you smoke it in. You can have a Dr. Grabo and smoke 1Q, or you could have a Yaskonovich and smoke Balkan Sobrani from the 80s, and you're just as welcome. It doesn't
Absolutely.
matter. We have
Nobody's
collectors.
gonna judge you.
We have carvers in the group. We have guys that are strictly smokers, and we have guys that are strictly collectors. So it's all fair game. It's all fun.
Well, I know I've been coming to the Denton portion of it for probably almost a year now, and it's been very welcoming. So it's a really nice atmosphere, and the guys are great. I mean, you know, hanging out with them, and I've learned a lot just sitting and listening and talking to you guys. You know, so it's absolutely beneficial.
We do too. That's the reason the club was started.
That's right.
Not only for the camaraderie in general, but to learn stuff. You get to see cool stuff. Somebody bought this, or somebody has this old blend, or you know, hey, look, this just came out. I've got it, or whatever. Have you tried this, or have you mixed this with that? And you know, we've got guys in the club that are into scotch and whiskey and things like that, and so we talk about that and how it pairs, and you know, so it's a good time.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So the Texas Pipe Show. I know the last one was in 2019. Is that right?
That's right.
2019, yeah. So we're hoping to get another one going in 2021 in October sometime, maybe is what you said. That's a collaborative event, isn't it?
It is. So the first show was here in Cedar Hill. We did it here at Cabana. Jim Clipp, who owned the shop at the time, kind of hosted that one. But then Colin and I started talking about it, and I started talking with James, who runs the Austin Pipe Club, James Foster, also known as Pylorns in the community.
Right.
And he was here for that, and he was like, "Look, I want to do a real, like an actual Texas pipe show." And so he and I started talking about it and figuring out how logistically that would work. We did it at Pop's Safari. Actually, I think the second one we actually did here too. I think we did 2
second
years
one
here.
here.
Yeah, and then we moved to Pop Safari because it was easier for most people to get to, because we had some people coming in from out of town. so it's easier to fly into DFW Metro,
Right.
and then get to Pops. Plus, it's a fun area. Lots of things to eat, a lot of things to do, so people could pay their parking and not have to repark for lunch, right? You could just go get lunch, and we didn't have to provide food, which is always a good thing. So we've been doing it for a couple of years. Actually, we got to 5 years, I think, before COVID hit. So this will be show 6.
And the show's slowly grown. In fact, the last year we had it in 19, we really were too big for the
venue.
For the venue. Our goal in 20 was to move it. We actually were in talks with another venue to host it, that we could still keep it inexpensive to the vendors and to people coming in and to ourselves. And for those of you who run a show or are involved with the clubs that are running shows, you know that this is not an easy endeavor, making a show happen. And that's why we started very small. We wanted to learn as we went, and we didn't want to throw in everything all at once and get ourselves in trouble. I know a lot of the guys that run some of the shows, other shows. I go to quite a few shows every year when they happen. And so I know it takes a lot of work and a lot of logistics and a lot of money to make those shows happen. So the idea with this show was to give this area of the country a show, which we desperately needed, but also to do it right in that we grow kind of slowly, and so we don't get too big too fast and fail.
Yeah.
Because we don't want to fail for a lot of reasons. And so this year is going to be smaller again, unfortunately. We didn't have last year to capitalize off of. But we hope if we can get some good vendors in here. There is, people come from Oklahoma, they come from Arkansas. There is traffic at that show. No, not compared to some of them, but it's getting there. And it will get there.
But we're going to get there at our pace.
Right.
And it's one of the things that we've always been intentional about with the Texas Pipe Show is it needs to still feel like our show, right? It's not going to feel like when you go to some of these other shows. It's going to be a laid back, kind of fun atmosphere. It's not going to, we don't have a whole lot of formal events. The only thing, we do 2 things that are like events at the thing, which is we do a slow smoke and we do a raffle. And the raffle always goes to benefit the clubs, but half of it goes to benefit the clubs that put it on, because it's not just us. A lot of other clubs, help out. And then half of it goes to a charity. In past, we've done, what was the name of the, I've lost it. James is gonna give me grief for this.
There was last one was for a military
For
cause.
soldiers, right? It was
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
we send pipes and cigars over to
Right.
overseas.
Yeah. Right.
So before that, it was right when the hurricane ripped through Houston.
Yeah.
And so we sent proceeds. Actually, I think we ended up sending more than half of the proceeds down to Houston to help out. So we always pick a good charity to send that stuff to. So the raffle is always fun because people come out of the woodwork to donate to the raffle. I know Steve Fallon always throws in, who runs the Waco Club.
He's been very generous.
He always throws in a bunch
our
of really
vendors
cool
as
stuff.
a whole have been very generous.
I would agree, yeah.
And then some of our members as well, and donated some of their own items and things.
Which means you sometimes end up with a weird collection of things.
Hey, I remember the huge log pipe.
Yes, that was, unfortunately, I donated that and then I won it.
Yes, we will take your junk. No, I'm kidding. We have gotten a few things that were like, wow, that's interesting.
That's super
But
special.
there's always something or somebody for something out there, I guess.
That's right.
Somebody got that pipe and really enjoys it. In fact, I know who got it.
Yeah.
And they really enjoy it, but not as a pipe, really.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's all in fun, and it does generate enough funds to keep the show going, and where we can help out a charity every year, and then make the next year happen.
I know that pipe clubs are like churches. You've got a certain amount of people who say they attend that church, and then you got the actual people that sit in the pews. What would you guesstimate your membership being around combined?
Combine the clubs?
Yeah.
I would say we have a regular crew of 10 people that you can guarantee you can count on being on a month-to-month basis. But sometimes we have 20, 25 people that are there. Like every once in a while, I don't know, the stars will align. And
For
we'll
no
end up-
rhyme or reason, we'll
Can't tell
have
why.
months that are just big.
and will be busting at the seams and not able to fit in,
Yeah.
in Pops or in up in the
yeah.
cigar company. And then other months it's real chill.
Yeah.
And it's just a few of us. And the weird thing is, it doesn't seem to matter as far as enjoyment. Like, conversations are awesome, whether it's 10 people or 25, because you just break into smaller groups and you have more conversation.
Right.
If there's something you're interested in, guarantee somebody else is going to randomly be interested in that. You won't even realize it. Fountain pens, watches, musical instruments, obscure bands, horses, tobacco
that smells like
Guns
cheese.
and ammunition.
Tobacco that smells
Go
like
figure,
cheese.
it's Texas.
Yeah, it's Texas.
Yeah.
Choo, choo.
All right, so Fort Worth version of the club meets on the second Thursday.
Second Thursday of every month at Pop Safari.
At Pop Safari, and then the Denton part of it meets at Denton Cigar Company on the fourth Tuesday. Well, that's kind of hard to remember, but yeah, that's it. And join the Facebook club because they always send out notices. If you're interested in coming, make sure that you get on Facebook and like their page, because that way you'll get all the notifications. You'll also get the notifications of the quarterly event that is held here in Cedar Hill at the Tobacco Cabana. So.
That's right.
And any show updates that we have from now until the time that happens will be on Facebook. We do have a website.
NorthTexasBriarClub.com.
There you go.
I try to keep the events up there updated. So.
And is that a good way to get a hold of either one of you if they've got any questions about meetings or anything like that?
There's a contact form there, or you can do it through Facebook. I check both of those. So
Okay.
try to respond to those as quickly as I can.
Cool.
We will be doing a club pipe this year through a well-known company. And we will announce that and start taking orders for that at the show.
Is it a limited quantity, or is it
No.
anybody that wants one?
We'll
that
be
pays
able to
for it?
order the amount we need,
Cool.
but there'll be
Yeah.
a shape and finish determined at that
And it'll
time.
be one of those deals where you pay up front because we want to pay the pipe carver.
Yeah,
Right.
we will pay them up front. But again, it will be pipe and shipping. It won't be pipe and shipping and extra.
Yeah, it'll be cost.
It'll be at cost. So, and it'll be a good price, I think.
Very good. Well, Chris and Colin, thank you very much for sitting down with me today and talking about the club. Hopefully you guys, anybody in the North Texas area, come on and have a bowl with us. It's a fun time. Again, there's no dues, so you just show up. You see either one of these three faces, come talk to us, and we'll get you right in.
That's right. And if you have
Sounds
any
good.
questions, feel free to hit us up on Facebook or on the website. We'll get back in touch with you.
Thanks again, guys.
Thanks, Tom.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
We'll see you guys next time.